Next to him is Whitney Tilson, an author and the lead analyst for Stansberry Investment Advisory, a Wall Street newsletter. Mr. Tilson is a co-founder of Teach for America and is active in the growth and development of charter schools.
This issue is very personal to me. My wife and 3 daughters are Jewish. We've been members of Central Synagogue for 25 years, and I've been horrified by the explosion of anti-Semitism. It makes all of us feel unsafe. I think a big chunk of Jews feeling unsafe is the mobs that have been incited on our college campuses and in our streets. There is someone on this stage with me who has been a primary inciter of these mobs over his entire life, who won't visit Israel, who refuses to acknowledge Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state, who has accused Israel of genocide, who is a leader of the movement to divest from Israel, and I think that needs to be made clear.
What has troubled me, however, is in Mr. Tilson's remarks about me. That disagreement has sometimes broached into a new area, one where the language is less of humanity, more of someone is at the gates, almost painting me as if I am an animal.
When Vicky Palladino posted that noxious tweet about you, Zoran, calling for you to be deported, I publicly said that was abhorrent, and I do not think my critiques of you have crossed any lines. I will point out that the human suffering that we both care about, my heart goes out to the suffering in Gaza. What the problem that I have is that I have never heard Zoran decry the human suffering in Ukraine, where I've visited 4 times and seen it personally, in Darfur, etc. He has a sole obsession on the sole Jewish state in this world.
I hope there isn't another response, because then it can just become a 2-person debate.
No, we are moving on. The current mayor has created a Jewish advisory council. Do you plan to do the same?
Yes.
Yes.
Name one person you'll ask to join it.
My rabbi, Angela Buckdahl of Central Synagogue. I strongly believe in the right to free speech and to protest, and if protesters want to wave some Palestinian flags or hold up signs saying globalize the Intifada from the river to the sea, I actually don't think they should be punished or arrested for that. It's when it crosses the line into behavior that I would act strongly. I believe that when campus police are overwhelmed by mobs invading buildings and threatening Jewish students, setting up encampments, yes, we should bring the NYPD in to clear that out. I think we should reinstitute the law that existed for decades prior to COVID that did not allow people to do these things anonymously by wearing masks, dating back to this is dating back to white supremacists wearing hoods. You got to be accountable for your actions and make sure you stay on the right side of the law and peaceful protest. I agree with Jim entirely that this movement is not just organic, that it's being funded by Hamas and Qatar, much of it, and we should be investigating that. And lastly, I'm fine if you want to protest in Washington Square Park, for example. When these protests, when protesters are allowed to go march into Crown Heights, for example, you're throwing a match into a powder keg, and that should not be allowed. I want to say I abhor the way Trump and his goons have demonized immigrants and terrorized our immigrant communities. And in case you think it's impossible for me to say anything nice about Zoran, I actually think immigrants like Zoran and his family, I wish we had a million more of them in New York and in our country. Immigrants are the backbone of this city. The only area that I just want to echo what Jim said is that we Democrats lose the narrative when we go too far and make it impossible for local and state law enforcement to communicate with federal law enforcement. And in fact, after the City Council passed Sanctuary City Law number 2 and number 3, the number of computerized pings, you would call it, requests for people on the terrorist watch list, people wanted for serious crimes elsewhere, between the federal authorities and the NYPD, and this was pre-Trump, went down by 96%. And that makes us all less safe and is crushing us politically. So we got to be smart about this as Democrats.
What's your go-to Jewish deli, bakery, or restaurant?
Well, it's such a cliche, but Katz's.
Which Jewish holiday has the best vibes?
I'm going to expand your question from holiday to celebration and say the bar and bat mitzvahs in our family. My niece just became bat mitzvah at Congregation Beth Elohim in Brooklyn, and it brings the whole family together from around the world, literally. and it's a great celebration. It probably wouldn't be in my first week, but in the first year, I would make my 4th visit to Israel and my 5th visit to Ukraine to show solidarity with 2 of our greatest allies who are in the front lines of the war on terror. I want to echo what Scott said. I view the BDS movement as fundamentally anti-Semitic because it is only focused on the world's only Jewish state. It is not focused on countries that commit far more serious human rights violations, discrimination against minority groups, etc. Think Pakistan, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, etc. That's why it's anti-Semitic. And lastly, while a mayor is not in charge of U.S. foreign policy, there is one area that I would love some clarification on from Zoran. He has called for the arrest of Israel's democratically elected leader if he sets foot in New York. And not just him, but anyone who has committed war crimes, which could be 1,000 people in the IDF, depending on how they want to define it. So I'd love some clarification on that. I co-chaired Central Synagogue's criminal justice reform activism group for a number of years with some of my friends in the room here. And we pushed for closing Rikers. Unfortunately, what the City Council passed is an enormous mess. It was $8 billion, now up to $16 billion, 4 of the most expensive buildings ever built in New York City with your tax dollars. And it only builds 4,000 beds. That's $4 million a bed, and there's 7,500 people at Rikers. If you want to double crime overnight in this city, release 3,500 people from Rikers. We need more long-term psychiatric facilities, more secure treatment beds, et cetera. But I don't think we will ever be at the point of being able to fully close Rikers. If we shrink it and from, say, 8 facilities down to 3, rebuild those 3 so that they are modern and safe for both the inmates and the correctional officers in there. I confidently predict we will have 5 primary jails in New York City, the 4 new ones under construction, and smaller, safer Rikers. I have a trans cousin here in New York City, and I think the way Republicans have weaponized this issue and demonized the trans community is abhorrent. That said, I think the response is not to go too far the other way and hand people like Trump the White House and Republicans Congress. Specifically, when we're talking about gender-affirming care for people young people under age 18, we need to be very, very careful. I don't think any hospital should be barred from it, but I don't think every hospital should be doing it, particularly when it comes to drugs that create permanent and irreversible changes in young people's bodies. I think they should be black box labeled. And ultimately, it should be the parents and the young person's decision, but only very specialized medical professionals should be doing anything in this area. Well, I don't know if inspire is the right word for a technocrat like Mike Bloomberg, but I thought he was one of the greatest mayor in New York City in my lifetime, and he inspired me to get involved politically. Particularly, he was very strong in helping KIPP and other charter schools expand, and I'm running in his lane.